Welcome back to another book review. My name is Gabby and this is my channel where we do all things bookish. So today we're going to be talking about The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. And this book, I've got a lot to say, so we're just going to get right into it. This book fits in the genre of historical fiction. I think it's also marketed as a murder mystery, which it should not be, but we'll talk about that more a little bit later on. The book covers themes of like race, poverty, intersectionality, disabilities. So in theory, I feel like, as you can imagine, this book should be like a perfect gift to a reader, and I just did not feel that way. For starters, I gave this book a true 1-star review because, like I said, in theory, the concept is there. I can see maybe why other people like it. It just didn't do it for me. So a quick summary of the book is that we start off with a murder mystery. Skeletal remains have been found, and we are, as the reader, are going to go on this journey to discover who is this person and how did they get there. And along that journey, we meet a cast of characters. And this is where I say it shouldn't have been a murder mystery because it feels more like a folktale, something that like your grandmother's telling you over dinner. She's like, oh girl, you hear about that body? Let me tell you something. And as she starts to tell you how we got there, she's going on tons of side tangents and she's talking about things you don't care about or understand just so you can get to the end. That is exactly what this book felt like. The main components of the book that really were like catalysts for moving the plot along are that we are in this very impoverished community that is primarily Jewish immigrants and Black individuals. And the ideas that they all are trying to kind of keep safe this one disabled boy, Dodo, and the lengths that they will go through as a community and the ties that bring them together to keep Dodo safe. I feel like if I read the summary of this book, which I did do to like prepare myself for this review, I feel like if I had read the summary of this book alone, minimum, I would have given the book 3 stars, but it just by itself didn't do it for me. And so let me tell you my qualms. I'm thinking of starting a qualms corner, like all of the issues I had, because oftentimes you're gonna hear me say, I had a small qualm, just a small qualm. These were big qualms for me, primarily one of them being, it felt like, if you ever have the experience in high school, maybe now, where you're reading Shakespeare for the first time and the first 5 or so acts that you're reading, you're like, what am I reading? What is this saying? None of this is making sense. And then all of a sudden you hit the 6th act and you're like, I don't know if they're actually acts. It's been a long time since I've read Shakespeare, but all of a sudden you hit that 6th act and you're like, I get it. And it hits you. All of a sudden it's not confusing. Everything's making sense. That's what this book felt like, except we never got to that point. Every minute of this book, I was like, wait, what's going on? What's happening? And at first that didn't bother me because I seem to have that sort of processing struggle with every new book. The first few chapters, I'm like, who are the characters? Where am I? What's going on? By like chapter 3 or 4, I'm like, right, I'm in it. Let's do this. I'm solidified. I understand. I thought maybe that's what was happening. And then I was like, maybe I'm just not paying enough attention because I am a visually impaired reader. So I often listen to the audiobooks. That was not the case. I was paying attention. I usually listen to audiobooks and play like Candy Crush. So I was like, maybe I'm thinking too much about my moves. So that I even put that down and like showered listening to it. Nothing made it. So I was like, oh, it's clicking. It's making sense. It never started to make sense for me. Part of that I think is because, again, like I mentioned before, we go off on so many side tangents. We meet so many side characters and a lot of them don't really do anything other than like move one part of the story along, which is why I say it feels more like a folktale that like your grandmother would tell you, right? Like, oh, and I went to the store and that's how I met your father, but on my way there I ran into your aunt, and if I hadn't run into your aunt, I would have never made it in time to meet your dad. And it's like, okay, I get that, but ultimately you met him at the grocery store, so like, why do I need to know your story? Like, it matters, but the character, like, I don't need it to know the character. And then that is part of the issue, I think, as well, is that we meet these characters that some of them only exist for a very short period. And because they move the plot along, we're then introduced to their entire backstory. And That I think was also a struggle for me. Most of these characters as well don't have like typical names. A lot of them are just nicknames, and that was part of the backstory. So we have like Monkey Pants, Dodo is the young boy, somebody's name is Paper. So we're meeting all these people that have these like nicknames, and part of moving along this journey is saying like, oh, I called up my buddy this, and this is their name, and this is how they got their name, and yeah, they gave me a candy bar, and that's how we got here. I didn't need all that. It really took me out of the story, and I felt that I could not carry on as that was happening. I feel like the best part of the book was the end. Like all of a sudden as I was getting to the end and I was seeing how it wrapped up, like I guess all I can say is the book is broken down into almost like 3 parts. Once you read the first part, you will feel so satisfied with the ending, like few chapters. This book gets very beautifully wrapped up in a nice little bow. It is the perfect happy ending that you hope that you're gonna get. And I hope I'm saying that without giving away too many spoilers if you do plan to read it. But based off the fact that I'm giving you a not great review, I don't know if you're gonna feel so inclined to go read the book. But if you do, just know that like the ending was fulfilling in that sense. I typically enjoy a little bit more of like an open-ended ending, or honestly even like a harsh ending, something that maybe isn't so exciting and fulfilling. That's a personal preference though, so that's no hate to the author. I also felt like maybe I was distant in this book because it is historical fiction. Something you're going to learn about me throughout any of these reviews is me and historical fiction, we just don't vibe. I want to vibe so bad with historical fiction. I think that it can be a great device in learning about certain times and places that we have not been. It's a great way to retain information about what the culture was like back then. I just don't like it. I don't know what it is. If I ever figure it out, I will let you know. So when I don't like a book, 1 star or less, like a do not finish, I really enjoy going and reading the 1-star reviews because I just feel like other people can say why something is bad, funnier, and more well written than I ever could. So I'm going to share some of those 1-star reviews with you here today. We've got 3. First up, we have Anna, who said, finishing it felt like a chore. And Anna, I feel like you plucked that right from my brain. I listen to audiobooks on like 2.25, sometimes 2.5 speed if the narrator's pretty slow. At one point, because this narrator was actually a very good narrator, 2.25 felt perfect for me, which is kind of rare. And towards the end, the last like hour and a half, I was like, I need to put this on 3 times speed. I just need to get this over with. I need it to end, take me out of my misery. Lisa Ann said, this book is like getting stuck behind a lost person in a no passing zone when you're late for an event. You want desperately to get around the person so you can get to where you're going, but you can't. And in that same line of like, finishing it felt like a chore, I just constantly felt like, where are we going? When can I get there? I just wanted to get to the end. Honestly, the last like 4 hours of the audiobook, I was like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Every time I closed Candy Crush because I ran out of lives and went to go see how far along I was like, I still have more. You're telling me I'm still not there? So Lisa Ann, thank you for that. Abby said, other people say it's good, so maybe there's just something wrong with me. And I often think this. There's a lot of times where I read books that I don't enjoy, that I know are very well loved by other people. And I often think to myself, is the problem me? Because I don't think, and I've said this before in other videos, I do have a literature degree. So I like to think that I have like a pretty good understanding of a good book and like when a concept is good, but also I don't think that me having a literature degree makes me any better than anyone else. And I like cheesy stories just as much as the next person, but I think I'm missing something. Like I said, this book had everything that would make a good book, right? We had all the components there, talking about hot button topics, historical fiction to give us the context of what life was like. We've got diverse characters with very explicit backstories. It was really just a story about love and community and chosen family and friendship and exposing yourself to other cultures and how beautiful that can be. And when I say all of those things together, you are probably like, wow, I really would like to read this book. And I think that you should. I just don't know if you're gonna like the journey that the book takes you on along the way. So also, I guess I should put trigger warning at the beginning, but I guess you're probably not gonna go read the book until after you finish the review, I would hope. But trigger warning, racism is a huge topic in this book. Sexual assault is also a topic in this book. In the future, I'll get better at putting the trigger warnings earlier on. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you like my reviews, please like and subscribe. If you have differing opinions on this book, or you saw something that I didn't and you feel like I should like go back, reevaluate, let me know. I read this book with my husband for our personal like book club that we have at home. He picked it, and he picked it because it had murder mystery and was historical fiction, his interest, my interest. He has read about 3% of the book, and I'm going to chalk that up to the fact that he also maybe is not going to be that interested, and the book has not pulled him in yet. So if you have any good ideas with those two things, or something that I can recommend for him for next month's book club, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in my next video.